when you're experiencing something that you've never had, oftentimes the question comes, what is it? Today, our message from the 16th chapter of Exodus is entitled, What is it? Embracing the metaphor of manna. They have just come out of come out of Egypt, headed towards the promised land. They haven't got in that thing good, and they start to get hungry. And one of the things that we see is that they begin to murmur and complain. Manna is a direct rebuke to the false narrative of the pre-God good old days. Egypt was slavery. Egypt was over 400 years. What they say is, man, we wish we were back in Egypt. You know, back there in the good old days when all we used to do is sit around and eat barbecue ribs. The way they described Egypt, man, you would think it was Club Med or the sandy beaches of Aruba somewhere. The Egypt that God delivered them from looks nothing like the Egypt they are describing. And many times, come on somebody, many times what we remember, manna is God's answer to those who simply misremember, Number 2, manna is the bread to accompany your wine. Man, they came out and they were constantly murmuring and complaining. Moses, you did this. Moses, you did that. Oh, I need you to see this thing. What they actually do here is attribute the activity of God to the simple work of man. We have to be careful in our murmuring. We have to be careful in our complaining, which are directed to man and to situations when ultimately they are directed towards God. We think we're complaining about the husband, we're complaining about the wife, we're complaining about the kids. And what God said is the stuff you are complaining about is the stuff that I brought into your life, such that when you begin to complain about it, you are actually complaining about me. And God is so gracious that he didn't answer them with a beat down, but he answered them with bread. In answer to their whining, their murmuring, their complaining, God doesn't just give them bread. God answers their murmuring and complaining with chicken and waffles. And I wrestle, man. I'm trying to understand this. I'm like, what's with the quail initially? By beginning the provision with meat, God is sending the message that even back then, the good stuff that you attributed to the Egyptians was me. Come on, somebody. And to prove it, God essentially is saying, I need you to check out my 11 herbs and spices. Every now and then, God has to do some stuff to remind you that it's not just now that you a deacon, not just now that you personal ministries leader, that God has been working in your behalf. I was working for you even way back then. And so he gave them a little bit of taste of yesterday to show them that he's not just the God of tomorrow, that he's not just the God of the present, but he's the one who's been taking care of them all the time. But he also gave them manna. Yes, God is able to easily replicate what man can do. Here it is. But at some point, to show you he's God, he produces that which man cannot replicate. Manna is God's introduction to the principle of relational dependence.